what I want to show you today is me packing for a wedding and like what's in my gear bag for a standard wedding. So one thing I want to point out really quick is that I am anti-camera bags in general. I find that they're super expensive. You'll have 40 different ones in your arsenal that you never use because they're not quite right. So one problem I had is this expensive camera bag I found that I thought I would love because it would hold a tripod, it holds a laptop, it's got a backpack strap. It's great for the airport, but over time, this indestructible zipper, as they sold it to me, has totally split and I can't use this bag anymore. The zipper pulls have broken. I just feel like for the price, I think it was probably like a $300 bag. For the price, and yes, I've gotten a lot of use out of it, I've got years out of it, but it's very disappointing that the zipper is broken. And so what I did was, I actually took the insert out of this bag, and I put it in a $10, $20 rolling suitcase. So this is just a cheap suitcase I got from wherever. It's just a black shell. The other thing I like about not having a real camera bag is that it doesn't scream camera bag on it. So when you're worried about if you have to shoot a wedding in a busy city or something, it's not as obvious that you've got thousands of dollars worth of gear in here. So anyway, I just want to kind of point that out, that I've taken the liner and the insert out of the expensive camera bag and I just put it right in this cheap, probably $20 suitcase that I had in my attic. So I'm a big fan of like alternatives because you'll never find the right camera bag, and I've found that the best camera bags I've ever had have been not camera bags. So anyway, this is just the insert, the liner, so I still have all the padding, I still have all the compartments. You could build this yourself if you're not one to buy a lot of gear. You could just build something and cut foam pieces out of a suitcase and just make it fit your gear. So now I want to just get into what is in my camera bag and how I organize it. I've actually streamlined quite a bit this past year, and I've sold a lot of old gear that I used to have that I never used. So this is really like the bare bones for weddings. And so if I can do it with 15 years of doing weddings, you can too. You don't need to buy every little piece of gear ever. That actually is going to hold you back from making money, or keeping money you're making. So I have a bunch of flashes here. So I have extra flashes. They always have fresh batteries in them. And I just keep them here. Just simple, easy to grab. This is basically my wedding reception bag. I usually don't touch most of this until I get to the reception. So here's fresh batteries in fresh flashes that halfway through the day I can just grab these and go. I have all these different pocket wizards and triggers for the flashes in one little compartment here. These are for my new Fuji, these cactus triggers. So they're all ready to go. They all have flashes. They all have the cords they need. It's very organized. I even have a little foot that you can stick. So if I have a second shooter, they can just grab this and go. I can grab it and go really easily. So you always want to make sure that when you set up your bag, you put everything back at the end of the night in the same spot. That way you know if you're missing a lens or you're missing a flash. Because sometimes you get busy and you put it on a couch or you put it on a shelf, you might forget. So I always make sure everything goes back in the same spot. That way you know if something's missing. Same thing with lens caps. Make sure you put all your lens caps back because that's how you know you're missing a lens cap. So I usually keep my zoom here. I do have extra flashes, so I can stick a flash right on top if I want and pack it really well. I've got a reflector, which I hardly ever use. Extra modifiers that I've made for flash modifiers to the side here. Extra batteries of all sorts. So I have these handy little cases that these PowerX came in. And so if I'm working with a new second photographer or lighting assistant, if I throw batteries in this bag, that means they're dead. Like I've used them already. So pull and replace my batteries from the nice organized ones, and that makes it easy for you to know which batteries are fresh and which ones aren't. Do not come and bother me with that. Like just figure it out. There's also battery chargers for my flashes. I've got a battery charger for those, so worst case scenario, you don't know if they're fresh, stick them in a charger. The DJ always has space for charging stuff. I used to carry like an 8-bay one, but now I just have a lot of extra batteries. And then I've got a lot of extra flashes too. The other thing I have is extra camera batteries. So again, when I get to the reception, I always want to swap those out. Just swap them out whether you need to or not, because your camera battery also runs your flash too. So if you have a flash on your camera, it drains the battery faster. So you don't want to miss an important moment just because your batteries aren't cycling fast enough. Because I use a lighting assistant quite a bit, I've got this little guy that I can just put the flash on this little holder, and then they can walk around, or I can walk around and do off-camera flash really easily. Really lightweight. I have a monopod for the same reason, but this is nice and simple. One of the reasons I like this holder is if I have you actually hold the flash, which you can do, my assistant always covers all this stuff that the camera needs to read. So your natural instinct is to like cover all that stuff. So if they have a handle they have to hold, they're not going to cover that stuff, so my camera can see it. So sometimes I use those if I don't want to use Pocket Wizards or whatever trigger you've got on hand. So I've got one of those. I also have this homemade snoot, which is really cool. It fits my flashes, and I've got different sizes. Fun fact about these is it's just 99-cent craft foam around like a politician sign, cut up and made, so it's like free. You can go steal your politician sign that you hate and then cut it up and you can just make the right size for your flash. So I have 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch of these, and my friend made them for me. So it's pretty cool. So that's free. A lot of the best gear, again, just like the camera bag, a lot of my best gear is cheap or free gear. So for example, here's another gear item that's 40 bucks, these flash benders. And they're cool, you know, I get it, like they're neat. But again, 99-cent craft foam does the exact same thing. So I just have Velcro, that's why my flashes have Velcro on them. So I have Velcro, and I can just go around the flash with the white side or the black side, depending on the wedding or where I am. And it does the same thing, it's 99 cents. Well, I guess $2 technically, because there's a black side and a white side. So it's the same thing as this $40 flash bender, and I actually feel like that works better for me personally. So that's another thing. So I just keep like batteries, flash batteries. This is a turbo battery for my Quantum, and I'll show you the Quantum in a minute, but it's just a giant flash that can fill a whole room. It can overpower the sun. But this also, I have a cord that can go into these flashes. So if I'm shooting a lot, or if I'm really far away from my bag during a big event, I can actually plug in and use this battery as this to run this flash. So I use this for some events that I photograph. So this battery can be used for lots of stuff. So if you're having a hard time going through flashes and flash batteries, then you might just get a second battery for your flash. The only thing you have to worry about with that is your flash can overheat if you shoot too much. The other thing I have in here, so again, I have my camera battery, chargers, I've got AA chargers, I have extra lenses like a fisheye, stuff I don't use very often but you want for certain weddings. So I keep those in this bag. Extra media cards, you want some extra empty media cards. This is an 85 1.4, which I use quite a bit. Today's wedding I'll probably use the zoom, but normally I would use a prime. And then this lens is my reception lens. It's just a mid-range 24 to 85. At some point in the wedding, you're just going to get bored and you've done everything you need to do. Not bored per se, but at the end of the night, you know, just go down to one camera, one flash, and one lens and knock it out. And then my zoom. And then the last thing I want to go over is what's in this junk bag. So the other peril to having that big real camera bag is there was all these extra pockets that I just filled with crap. So now I've got it streamlined down. I have tripod mounts, I have extra batteries for different triggers. I'm a girl, so I've got tampons, but also you're working with brides, so even if you're a guy, you might want to throw something like that in there. I've got like a eyeglass repair kit. I've got a little pocket knife, safety pins, a little multi-tool, because you just never know when one piece of your camera might fall off. Like when you're using the same lens over and over, like these kinds of things can come loose. So sometimes it's nice to have like tools. I've got all kinds of flash modifiers. And then this is that cord that goes from my flash to that extra battery pack. Then I also have pretty much the only other thing in here that I really use sometimes is I have this trigger that goes on my camera that can, a pocket wizard on my person can trigger a second body like in a balcony from a church. So I don't really need a second shooter. So if I really just need one wide angle photo, I can just do it myself. As long as I have an extra camera for that. So that's really all I keep in this junk bag. It's just sort of like little extra tidbits I might need. Gels for the flash, which I personally don't use very often, but a lot of photographers do. So that's my main junk bag, or my reception bag, is just chargers, batteries, extra of everything, extra lenses. I just got rid of a lot of my backup cameras, but I used to have a third body in here. But lately I've been bringing a second shooter with a body or whatever. And my cameras are new enough that I'm less worried about it. But I used to have an extra body in here. And I used to have like 7 flashes, and so I've pared down. It's nice to have flashes that are all kind of the same. And then they work with all the same triggers and stuff like that. So that is my reception bag in this $20 travel bag. The next up, we'll go through what's in my actual camera bag that I carry on my person. So this, my friends, is my on my person camera bag that you will have to pry from my cold, dead fingers. So this camera bag, yes, it's purple and it's a little crazy. But you know, the funny thing about it is I've had 4 billion camera bags in my life, and this is hands down the best camera bag I've ever found. And the best part about it is it wasn't a camera bag. It's actually, drum roll, a diaper bag. This is a high-end diaper bag, which for a diaper bag it's hella expensive, but as a camera bag it's super cheap. So that's the irony. But diaper bags are meant for easy access. They're made to they're just made for what we need, especially with weddings. So for example, they have little pockets on the side where normally like a water bottle would go, but this is where I put my wallet or my phone. I have my business cards right here and like little cards for the reception. And then I have easy access. I've got this other pocket that I keep an extra camera battery, and if I need to, extra AA's for flashes or something. And then I usually keep one of my Pocket Wizard triggers in this pocket, but I can also put a flash in there. It fits a flash, but I love that it's got this little, whatever that's called, like elastic gathering thing. I've bought a camera bag that was very similar to the layout of this bag, and these pockets were too hard to get in and out of. So it was just like a pain to get a lens out or a flash out. So I still love this bag. So here's the other thing I really love about it is this really wide strap. Really holds on my person really well, doesn't dig into my shoulders, and because I'm carrying all this weight with me instead of like a hold fast moneymaker or a spider holster or something, then what I found once I switched to this bag is I take it off a lot. I take it off and put it next to me a lot, so I only have 1 camera in my hand or 2 cameras in my hand. So I'm not carrying this weight on me all day long. So anyway, and a lot of the reason that I like to have a bigger camera bag like this is that I don't normally have an assistant or a second shooter. So I don't usually have someone carrying a lot of stuff for me. So I like to be self-contained. That's just the way I am. So I can hold 2 bodies in here very easily. This is a mirrorless camera, which I'm using as my second body these days with my wide angle. But I've shot with 2 full-size DSLRs for a decade, and they fit in here really well. My zoom lens fits in here really well. I love that my flashes just fit in these little pockets. Like, again, it's a diaper bag. And then there's little mesh pockets here where I keep, on one side I keep stuff that the bride might need, like tissues for crying, a pen, a sewing kit, you know, like just random wet naps, which come in handy when like a bridesmaid gets pooped on with a bird, which I've had happen. Aspirin for you or for the bride. So I keep just survival kit stuff in that. A little pair of scissors to cut the bride's dress tags off, because they never think of that and we always have to do it. And then the other side is more like photo extra gear, so a lens cleaner cloth, extra little PC cords or whatever, a little feet for my flash so I can just stick the flash in the corner, and like extra media cards if I want to. Usually there's like a quarter in here in case I need to like unscrew the tripod mount or something. And then this big pocket on the front holds flash benders, extra media cards or whatever I might need, and this little guy, which I love, is so if my flash triggers are not working, like my Pocket Wizards, or if I trigger these off-camera flashes with my on-camera flash a lot, which a lot of people don't realize you can do, but sometimes it fails, or with my Fuji it doesn't really play super well with my Nikons, so I can put the flash on this little guy and connect this to the hot shoe, and I can run around, and this is pretty much how I photograph a reception. Was like I just hold this in my hand and it's connected to the camera, and the camera triggers the flash. So I don't have to rely on TTL. So that's my camera bag, my diaper bag, which I love. And most of the time, I don't have everything in it. I usually, when I get to the ceremony or when I get to the reception, I have my cameras hanging off of me, crisscross, and this is just extra stuff. I have a flash for each camera. I have maybe a lens or two extra, and then a flash modifier, and that in this cord that I talked about that I can connect the flash to. I try to keep it really simple, a couple extra batteries. You never want to get into the situation where you're in the middle of a ceremony and you have to go back to your extra gear bag. You want to make sure you have the minimal stuff that you might need, like batteries and extra flashes here. But other than that, that's how I can carry so much stuff, is that the weight is not always on me. Especially during a ceremony, I can put this, you know, in a pew near the front of the church if I really need to, and not even carry it around on me. So it's a great little bag. It has all the necessities in it, but to and from I can put all the cameras in it. So that is my go-to camera bag, which was a diaper bag. And the fun fact about it is if I take this on an airplane, like a magazine fits perfect in here, and an iPad fits perfect in here. And then also, because it's a diaper bag, it's all waterproof, which is awesome. So that is my camera bag that I carry on me, that everybody asks me about because it's such a unique camera bag. And that's what I keep in it. All right, so probably the favorite thing I have in my camera bag is not even something in my camera bag. I have this beast of a flash that can overpower the sun, like no speed light can. There's a million different ways to do these kinds of things. ProPhoto is a really popular one right now. This is a Q flash, which is like super old school back in the film days, but it still works like a tank. But that's not actually what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the stand it's on. I love this stand. I have a spot for an umbrella right here. I've got a spot for the extra battery pack right here, Pocket Wizard, and I can just pick it up and take it with me. And I can put it down and it goes right, well, one of the legs sticks now, but it goes right into like, you know, a pew of a church really easily. And the best part is it just comes with me and I can be all by myself. So I can carry my normal bag and I can pick this up with one hand and, you know, just grab it and go. It's so much easier than trying to mess around with unscrewing and screwing these little guys. So I love this stand. I love that I can just throw an umbrella on it and everything's contained. But the best part is it just picks up and moves with me. It's called a cheetah stand. And it's the best thing I have in my camera bag.